Hello, everyone. We are live, and I'm here with the original Bitter Housewife, Genevieve. She's not so bitter, though. She really isn't.
No, definitely not.
But she created this amazing product, these amazing bitters, which we've had, of course, on our website for a long time. We're really big fans of Genevieve and her amazing bitters. You might be familiar with the infamous cardamom bitters. This is the one that we all love, everyone loves, and they love them all, but this is probably the favorite, I would say, of the big seller that everyone has. And now, very exciting, Genevieve has released this new samplers. So just in time for holidays, we just put them in the store. So great stocking stuffers. They're really, really fantastic. So I'm going to make a quick cocktail, and while I am, I'm going to ask you some questions.
All right, sounds good.
Because it wouldn't be me if I weren't making a cocktail. I mean, that just is the way it goes. So,
Of course.
I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm making the holiday spice cocktail here, which is one that we've got a kit on the site it's a great hostess gift, great gift for your cocktail loving friends. It's got, of course, the cardamom bitters. It's got Laura Ann jams, pickled kumquats. Oh my gosh, her cocktail kumquats are phenomenal, and you're not going to find them other places. They're amazing. We didn't have them last year. We got them back this year. And then we've got, of course, the ginger syrup. And what's nice is I got the ginger syrup in a nice 100 milliliters, so it's not too much to take up your fridge. I, however, have this big honkin' one because, I'm me. So I've got the big size because I drink a lot. And so I'm just going to do here, I've got my shaker. I've got a little ice. I'm going to throw an ounce of the ginger syrup in. I'm going to throw 2 ounces of my bullet bourbon in. And sorry, I don't have a small batch bourbon on hand today. It was just that kind of day. Didn't have it.
Oh,
so
my.
we're going with the bourbon. Nothing wrong with bullet. I got to say,
There's
it's nothing wrong with bullet.
Yeah.
So, and then I'm going to take my my bitters, and I really like it. So I'm probably going to do, I don't know, 10, 15 shakes of it in there. I really like it, so I put quite a bit in. And then we're going to give that puppy a shake. And I'm going to top that off here with a little bit of sparkling water, which of course I made in my soda stream so that I would not have waste. And on top of that, I have here one of the pickled kumquats, and I stuck it on a piece of thyme so they would look all nice and festive. So there we go. Nice. And so there we go. And that is going to be, it's got kind of a spiced whiskey sour flavor to it.
I would imagine.
It's really nice.
Sounds lovely.
It is lovely. And I'll tell you the other thing I love these bitters in is bubbly. So that's another great, like, to do an aperitif, like before dinner, just bring out the bubbly and a few shakes of this in, and then maybe drop a cocktail kumquat in. It's beautiful, feels really holiday, and it was so simple.
Yeah. No, I agree. That's the ginger syrup. We're big fans of Portland syrup, good friends of ours, and their ginger with our orange bitters in sparkling wine is one of my favorite kind of pre-dinner cocktails. So
I'll have to try that tonight. We have the orange bitters in stock too. So
yeah, ginger and orange is always lovely, but cardamom works too. I like the orange a little because it just pops it a little bit more, but the cardamom, gives it more of that spicy, that really warm kind of flavor. So it's like pick one, whichever your mood is. Go back and forth.
Yeah, pick wherever you want to go. And then, of course, during the summer, I do the lime coriander. So there we go.
Yeah, nice and bright and zesty. Yeah. And I love that you use so much of the bitters, because I think that's one thing that people are really afraid of with bitters is that, well, what if I put too much in? And I think that's one of the things that makes our bitters really stand out is that you have to really try to ruin a drink with them. You really have to go overboard. We've made them so that they're really balanced and they blend into your cocktails, and they really just heighten the other ingredients that you're using. So be bold.
Be bold, be bitters.
Yeah.
So how did you end up making bitters? How did you become the Bitter Housewife?
Bitter Housewife is just my pseudonym and my, alter ego, I should say. But it actually started with a blog that I was writing and a joke that I made to my husband. I was doing a little entertaining kind of urban homesteading blog probably about 12-ish years ago now, and wrote about bitters for content for the blog, really, or wrote about making them. Really, that was kind of the most of my intentions. But once I tasted them, I was like, these are awesome. I really didn't think that my homemade version would be better. And so then because I'm a perfectionist and a kitchen tinker, I was like, well, now I have to make the perfect bitters for an old fashioned, because that's my favorite cocktail. So I started on that, and that probably took about a year of 6 to 8 different recipes. And I landed on what I thought was the best bitters for an old fashioned, and really just planned to, give some to friends and family and keep making them for myself. But my husband said, well, I wonder if we can make a business out of selling bitters. And quick, I was like, I have no idea, but we should call it the Bitter Housewife. And he was like, done. So I sealed my fate at that point in time. And now here I am.
And here you are, the Bitter Housewife.
Yeah.
I have, so the first one, was the first one the Aromatic?
Yes. Yeah. The old fashioned Aromatic, which in the little bottles is this blue label.
The blue label. Yeah.
Yeah.
So here is your sampler. And these guys, I'm really excited about these, especially like what a great hostess gift. You're showing up for Thanksgiving dinner, or maybe you're coming over for the weekend, because we do that, right? If you're coming for the weekend, I'm going to suggest both, and maybe the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but if you're coming over for dinner or a cocktail party over the holidays, what a great thing to give your host. These guys are so fun. They are so cute. So there's 2 sampler sets. One, which has kind of, I would call them the more standard, bitters that most of us work with, right? So it's got the barrel aged, it's got the aromatic, and then it's got the orange, right? So those are kind of like things you're familiar with, right? And then we kind of go with the little more exotic ones. So this is where we've got the cardamom. We've got, what's the other one? Hang on. Oh, grapefruit, cardamom, and lime coriander. Yes. And so these are like fun time and a little more exotic, and they're really fantastic. I love the size of them. It's really just great for people to try them out. So what would you recommend for people who are not mixologists, who are maybe a little afraid of using bitters? They've never used them. They don't know how to use them. Like what's a good rule of thumb? Somebody to like use bitters without a cocktail recipe in their hands.
That's a great question. And I think my answer is sometimes intimidating to people, but I always go to the old fashioned, which people think of bourbon, but a lot of people say, oh, but I don't like bourbon. But the old fashioned is really just a ratio, a really simple recipe that you can swap out any of the ingredients. It's 1.5 to 2 ounces of spirit, which could also be gin or tequila. And then usually about a teaspoon-ish of something sweet, whether you want to use agave or honey or make your own like herbed or fruit syrup, or just use sugar. And then bitters. And with our bitters, I recommend starting with about 4 to 6 dashes, and you may add a few more just to liven it up. And then it's thinking about what flavors go together. So if you want to stick really simple, like I love gin with a little bit of honey. Honey mixes into cocktails better if you warm it up and maybe add a little bit of water. Honey on its own does not like to mix into cold things.
Well, the best thing to do, I always tell people, because we have the bee's knees on our website. So the thing you want to do is you want to warm your honey up first. You mix the honey and the spirit together first.
Yeah. Yeah.
Before you add any ice.
North until you get to the end. Yeah. But gin, honey, and the grapefruit bitters is a really nice kind of entry point to a gin old fashioned. See what you think. And then you may decide that you want to try the orange, or you want it a little more zesty with the lime coriander. Cardamom and gin also go really well together.
I haven't tried that.
Yeah, because a lot of gin recipes actually have cardamom in them, but it's a really subtle note. So that cardamom bitters kind of brings that out. We used to make a cocktail a lot. We would make a rosemary citrus simple syrup with the cardamom bitters and gin and a bunch of soda water, more like a highball kind of drink. Love that in the summer. Yeah. All the backyard Collins.
We have from Hawaii, we have Slow Island Foods in Hawaii. Chef there makes a lot of syrups, but she's got this vanilla syrup made from vanilla bean from Hawaiian Islands. It was so delicious. And I was thinking that with the orange might be like almost like an orange dreamsicle kind of a flavor.
Yeah, yeah. And I could even see that with maybe like a little mezcal, just a touch of smoke on that.
Yeah, that would be really good.
Yeah.
Maybe
so that recipe to me is like, if you're hesitant with bourbon, it's still a really simple cocktail. And if you don't like a strong cocktail, then add a couple ounces of soda water to it too. And you maybe add a little bit more sweet. And that's the thing about cocktails, at least that we try to tell everybody. Recipes are a starting point, but ultimately you should enjoy it. So if you want it a little sweeter, go for it. If you don't want it as sweet, back off on the sugar or add a few more dashes of bitters. It's all about making sure you enjoy what's in your glass. And then it's a perfect cocktail.
Then it's perfect. So, one of the things that amazes me about bitters too is how versatile they are. Like we kind of end up putting them on our bar table, and it sits there and all by itself waiting for cocktail parties.
Yeah.
But I pull mine out and use it for other things. Like what are some other uses for bitters that you would recommend?
Well, I think if you think of bitters as an extract, which they are, they're just a multi-ingredient extract as opposed to a single one like almond or vanilla. That turns on kind of the baking thing for a lot of folks, which is what I use them most often in. I love to add a little bit of cardamom bitters to just a classic shortbread recipe. I add aromatic bitters instead of vanilla to a pumpkin pie recipe. That little secret ingredient that nobody's going to be able to put their finger on.
Ooh, what a good idea.
Or throw some in like an apple crisp. I think, pretty much any of the aromatic, the cardamom or the orange would work really well with that. But they also work really well in marinades or salad dressings too. They're actually doing like barbecue. The aromatic or the barrel aged bitters are great flavors for like a beef or a pork marinade before you throw it on the grill. And it pairs really well if you're going to use barbecue sauce afterwards, or if you're just keeping it simple. And the citrus ones I like in salad dressings because it's like adding that little squeeze of citrus, but you don't get the sour. So sometimes I use them either to kind of kick up the lemon or the lime or orange flavor without getting more sour, or just to add it when you want maybe a little bit of a sweeter dressing, like a rice vinegar and a little bit of the lime coriander and some sesame oil is a nice kind of bright Asian style dressing that's really simple. So,
that's a great idea. I love that. Oh, I've never thought about using them in salad dressings.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking about it going, the other thing I love to do in the summertime, which I'm sure I could figure out a good translation, make a compote instead, but fresh berries and bitters, depending on which flavors I'm using, but like strawberries and aromatic and a hint of balsamic, and then put that over vanilla ice cream.
Well, how about a relish for your turkey?
Oh yeah, totally.
the orange in
I've done
with
orange
the
bitters in cranberry sauce. Yeah.
cranberry sauce. That would be really good. Kick it up
Mhm.
just a little bit. That would be really nice. Because
Yeah.
I've made before, one of my cranberry recipes is a Grand Marnier cranberry recipe. So
Yeah,
I think
totally.
that this would do that without it being, the thing about the Grand Marnier cranberry recipe is it can be a little cloyingly sweet because
Mhm.
the Grand Marnier is so sweet. So I think that this would give you that orange flavor without that clowing sweetness to it. You'd be able
Totally.
to balance it a little bit better. That's a really good idea. I think I'm going to write that
You
down.
got to write that down.
Exactly. I think that's coming. I think that's coming to everybody this holiday. That's a good one. I like that one. That's awesome.
Yep.
No, very good. Well, this is really, I'm really excited to have you guys in the shop. This is all so beautiful. And like, they are the most amazing bitters, and they really are so versatile. I can't believe tea. I love just putting them in my tea. Just a few
Mhm.
shakes in a in a cup of tea,
Yep.
and then of course you make bitters and soda, which is, if you're using these bitters, is not zero proof because they are they are
They
made
are
with
alcohol based.
alcohol.
Yes.
It's low alcohol, but it's still going to be alcohol.
Oh yeah, totally.
But they've come out. Bitter Housewife has come out with this amazing bitters and soda in a can, which we don't sell in Foodocracy because we were just discussing the fact that it would be silly for them to ship us a can for us to ship it to you. That would just be the opposite of being, good globally. So
Yes.
instead, I'm going to recommend that you go direct to Bitter Housewife and order your bitters and soda. Or ask for them at your local store. Tell them they need to call Bitter Housewife and stock them for you. So that
Definitely. Yes. We
Because
we have lots of specialty retailers across the country that carry it, and then we're widely distributed in the Pacific Northwest. So, but we are happy to ship to anybody's home. And we've got 3 flavors. We've got the aromatic, if you like that kind of earthy, spicy flavor. Then we've got the orange, which is kind of the in-between. It's got a little bit of allspice, but the brightness of the orange. And then we've got grapefruit, which is really just about that zesty, bitter grapefruit flavor. So, yeah.
they are absolutely delicious. I highly recommend them. And if you want, you can obviously make your own. Just
Yeah.
soda water and bitters with a glass of ice. I do it almost every single night after dinner. They're fantastic.
We
So-
definitely don't discourage that either.
Definitely don't discourage that. So thank you so much for joining us. This has been great. And everyone, enjoy your cocktails as we head into holiday season. It's
Yes.
time to bring out your cocktail shaker again and entertain. And we're very excited about it. So thank you, Genevieve. And thank you, Bitter Housewife, for being with us today and for making us these amazing bitters.
Thank you so much, Lisa. It was a pleasure.
All right. Thank you all. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.